thankful that you've taken time to be with us this morning, and pray that our worship this morning will be pleasing and edifying to you, and particularly pleasing to God. I'm a bit raspy this morning. You have to bear with my voice. This morning we're going to talk about, am I my brother's keeper? And I thought we'd just start with this slide because it's showing a hand reaching out in support. As we go on through the lesson, we'll understand that that's indeed what we need to be doing as children of God, is to reach out and support each other and the community as well. Before we get into the lesson, though, I want to give you an idea of kind of what my feeling of society is like. And this is out of a Garfield cartoon the other day, and it's Garfield's walking by and says, hello, and he walks by John and he says, goodbye. And then he says, avoiding the stuff in between is the key to a good relationship. In other words, I don't need to mess with anything in between hello and goodbye. No relationship at all. Just leave me alone. That's Garfield, and I hope you can see the top there. That's kind of, that cynicism is common in our society today, unfortunately. And we don't particularly want to be that way, especially. So into the lesson, am I my brother's keeper? Genesis chapter 4, verse 9, we have this. Then the Lord said to Cain, where is Abel, your brother? And he said, I do not know. Am I my brother's keeper? And that phrase has become very common to us today. Am I my brother's keeper? And that's a cop-out answer we often hear. Where's your little sister? I don't know. Am I her keeper? Am I your keeper that I need to pay attention to you? I used to hear that at work. You're not my keeper. Leave me alone. We've made it into things that it shouldn't be. But in the context, and I want you to open your Bibles to Genesis chapter 4. We're going to read what's going on there because there's some things we often overlook that are important for us to understand what's going on in this particular incident in the life of mankind. In verses 3 through 10, came about in the course of time that Cain brought an offering to the Lord of the fruit of the ground. And Abel, on his part, also brought of the firstlings of his flock and of their fat portions, and the Lord had regard for Abel and his offering. But for Cain and his offering he had no regard. So Cain became very angry, and his countenance fell. Then the Lord said to Cain, why are you angry? Why has your countenance fallen? If you do well, will not your countenance be lifted up? And if you do not do well, sin is crouching at the door, and its desire is for you, but you must master it. And Cain told Abel his brother, came about when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel his brother and killed him. Then the Lord said to Cain, where's Abel your brother? And he said, I do not know. Am I my brother's keeper? And he said, what have you done? The voice of your brother's blood is crying to me from the ground. So there's what's going on there. So we look at just a couple of points there. Cain was jealous of his brother because Cain's offering had been accepted and his had been rejected. I want you to notice in verse 7, God is trying to win Cain back. God doesn't want to lose him. If you do well, will you not your countenance be lifted up? And if you do not well, then he says sin is crouching at the door. I want you to think about that. Sin's crouching at the door to us each day. Satan is like a snake hiding at the doorway, trying to trap us up. God's warning Cain about that. And then verse 9. Cain just killed his brother. And the Lord wanted to know what's going on. And his response was this self-defense motive. Like, ignorance is bliss. I don't know where he is. He's trying to get out of answering God's question. Where's Abel, your brother? Cain knew perfectly well where Abel was lying in the field. Cain knew. I mean, he left him there. Cain knew perfectly well what had happened to Abel. Cain knew perfectly well he had been caught by God. And he knew perfectly well how it felt to stand before God in judgment. We don't know that yet. Cain knew what that felt like. Cain was terrified, horrified, absolutely stricken. He had been caught by God, and God was asking him for an accounting. Like his father, he tried to wiggle out. We're not going to turn to that passage, but Cain's following the example of Adam, when God said, "Where are you?" As they're walking and eating, "Oh, we were naked." And who went on with to eat the fruit? "The wife you gave me the fruit." So he's trying to escape out, blame God for his sin. First and blame his wife, and then blame God, because God gave her to him. So, back to Cain. Here's some New Testament, and I want you to understand right off the start. I'll clarify it. What you're going to see is out of context for a reason. It's not out of context, it's without the context. Luke 9:23. He was saying to them all, "If anyone wishes to come after me, he must deny himself and take up his cross and follow me." Cross daily and follow me. That's a singular pointing to me. In Romans 14:12, each one of us will give an account of himself to God. Again, that's just pointing to me. In Galatians 6:5, each one will bear his own load. We must take the responsibility of our cross upon ourselves, undoubtedly. We absolutely have to. But if we just look at those like that leaves out the message of actually what's going on in those passages. And we don't want to lose that. So if we look at them in the context, in the first one, Luke 9:22 to 26. Jesus says, "The Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected by the elders and the chief priests and the scribes, and be killed and raised up on the third day." He was saying to them all, "If anyone wishes to come after me, he must deny himself, take up his cross daily, and follow me. For whoever wishes to save his life will lose it. Whoever loses his life for my sake, he is the one who will save it. For what does a man profit